Happy Tuesday, May 6th. Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's about 7:45 at night. I'm trying to get my video made while my kids are getting finished up at swim practice. So we'll be going over the trades for May 6th performed in the ULTY, YieldMax Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund. All right, so let's just get right into it. There were a handful of trades, as you can see. So we went ahead and put those into our spreadsheet so we can track them. I'll let you know at the beginning I wasn't sure what the very first thing was because it didn't actually say a stock ticker. It just had a code, but then after I looked at the holdings, I was able to figure out what it was. So that's the reason this RGTI, which is Rigetti, I think it's Rigetti Computing. Yep, they're in the quantum computing world. So they've opened a new position in the ULTY. So like they have with everything else, they bought in just shares, right? So that's why we don't have a expiration date or a strike price, right? They just bought 350,000 shares at $9.40. So spending almost $3 million. I didn't count that in the trades, like against the trades as far as wins and losses. We've been tracking that as far as options are concerned. And then if they were to sell the shares, then we would count that as income or loss. But just opening up a new position, we're not going to count that against them. So the good news is, as far as my coverage, this will be the first day we're covering where they made more money than they lost on their trades. So let's get right into it. Hims and hers does not fit that category. So if you just take a look real quick, we've got our list of starting right there. We've got our list of stocks that are in the fund, and we had some pretty big swings on some of them. Hims and hers included 18% increase, so that's causing problem for the options that they had. Another one, Oklo, went up 12.5%. Palantir went down 12%. We'll get more into this in just a minute, but those were the major ones that really made some big swings and forced them to make some moves. So let's see, they closed their calls, 750 of them for 44 strike price. And they were also playing that one a little bit different because they had calls that they had purchased as well. So it seemed like they knew this was going to keep going. So that actually worked out well for them. They made some money, $200,000 on that purchased call to offset what they lost on the $44 call. They opened a new call at $52. They closed out the put that they originally had with it at $32 and moved up to $44. So overall, they lost $159,000. And as you can see, they still kept it within the week. So they are still trying to fight back and make some money on this one this week, even though Hims and hers has really blown through all the numbers. Palantir, similar, PLTR. So they opened. These should be in a better order, right? They closed these calls at 1:30 and 1:35. They opened calls at 1:15 and 1:16. That's why these share numbers match up with these share numbers. So they actually made out well, closing those out pretty cheaply and opening these to make a little profit. Same thing, they opened puts to match along with them in the collar at 92, but they got put in separately because they got these for 51 cents and these for 50 cents. But they match up with the shares for the options numbers for the collar that they had, and then they closed out the other put that they had, selling those and making some good money as well. So overall, Palantir, even though I think I said they went up pretty big, right? No, never mind. They dropped 12%. So I'm sorry, excuse me. So they took advantage of that, cashed in, made a profit, and moved their shares to try to continue making money for the week. This is the collar that has started with the new stock Rigetti that was added to the fund. So they sold a call for $10.50, and they bought a put for $8 even. Not the 3,500 calls and puts. That resulted in them making $59,000. And then finally, RH, they closed out their 210 position and opened a 192.50, and they closed out the put associated with it at 170 and opened a 162. And again, they made about $89,000. So this is the first trading day we've seen in this week. Granted, I started on Thursday, so that was Thursday, Friday, Monday, and now Tuesday. So this is the first day we've seen them make money on their daily transactions, 316,000. If we go over to the holdings, forgot to grade that out. Still didn't work. And just in case this was like your first time watching, as we go over the trades for the day, we gray them out so that we know we've already talked about them. I erase all the averages off the side just so they don't get in the way, and just so we know what to talk about on the new information that we've received today. All right, so I don't update the actual holdings on the day of. I do it after I make the video. That way we have the previous close price to go along with today's close, so you can see the percentage change and the change in market value. So quickly, ASTS went up 1.3%. Alibaba went up close to 1%. Coinbase dropped about 1.25%. Carvana dropped about 0.25%. First Solar lost about 0.3%. GameStop about 0.2%. So a lot of these are helping us, right? Because we want our calls to be out of the money, so they expire worthless. So we get to keep all that money that was collected, and we don't have to pay to close out. So we don't want huge drops, but these just to make it to where our call options that were sold will be able to be bought back much cheaper. That's the idea. GameStop, I said, lost 2%. Hims and Hers, though, they went through the roof. Now that says 18%. Is that what we said? Oh yeah, 18.12. Okay, so that obviously hurt. So again, you already saw they closed these positions out and opened new ones. So when we start tomorrow, the correct information will be on there. But that was in the hundreds of thousands for gains and losses in the trades. But overall, that increase in 18% on their stock holdings resulted in an over $2 million increase in value. Robinhood went up 1.3%. Still have the calls out of the money, so that's good. IONQ dropped 1.3%. We're still in the good there. Mara Holdings went up about 0.5%. They're still almost 10% away from the call strike price that's sold, so we're still doing well there. MP Materials lost 2%. Still out of the money on the calls. MicroStrategy lost about 0.25%. Those calls and options are looking good. Cloudflare lost about 1.9%, making their calls about 5% out of the money. Nvidia lost 0.25%. Their closest call is 3.78%, but some of these, like Nvidia, MSTR, they can jump a lot more than 3 or 4% in a day, pretty regularly. Oklo went up 12.5%, and now that one is almost 15% in the money. They're going to end up having to pay to close that one out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it tomorrow. Just making sure we didn't. That's not one we talked about today, right? Nope. Okay, Palantir lost 12.5% or 12%. So we saw that they cashed in a bunch of these. They bought them out at much cheaper prices and started new ones. Reddit lost almost 5.5%. So those shares are now well out of the money. We're feeling pretty safe on winning those. RH lost 1.85%. Calls are well out of the money. Super Microcomputer made 2.3%, which is nice because they are already so far out of the money that we can make money on our holdings and still not have to stress about losing money on the options. TNA lost 3.4%. Shares or options are 11% out of the money. TQQQ lost 2.84%. Again, options are about 8.5% out of the money, but just remember these again are leveraged funds, so they move at. I know this one's triple. I think that one might be triple too, but if not, it's double. I'll look into that before I speak on it next time. Tesla lost 1.75%. They're 8% out of the money. Looking like these are going to go well for us. Upstart lost 1.15%. They're 15% out of the money. Some of these, as they're getting that far, I think we could probably expect to see them do what they did on Palantir and start closing these out, buying them much cheaper and starting new positions. Just not sure how far in the week before they start pushing out to the next Friday as opposed to this Friday, but we'll find out. Vertiv Holdings lost 1.4%. Calls are now 5.5% out of the money. And Vista Corp made 3.4%, and the calls are still out of the money, so that's pretty helpful. So overall, the market value of just the shares that they hold went down by a little over $500,000. Not a major change, right? When we're talking about a $240 million fund. ULTY closed at $594. And that NAV is not updated yet, so it could possibly be right, but it's not. But because, like I said, that would be once all these numbers are updated, including the prices of the options. That's what gives us the number. So either way, it's going to be close. So I think that's all I have for you. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Time for the corny dad joke of the day. And today's is more of just like something funny to say, not so much a joke. It says an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That is, at least if you throw it hard enough at them. So, okay, thank you. Please like and share if you liked it. And please leave a comment with feedback if you'd like to see something different or if some changes. But thank you. Have a nice night and talk to you tomorrow.